Good day and welcome back to another cubic function lesson with Mr. Simons. Now we're doing corrections for worksheet 1,12, foundation practice, factorizing cubic equations, number 7 and 8. So this is the third variation. We don't ask you to find the factor, you have to literally use linear factors to find it, right? So that's just third variation. The full worksheet is available. Check in the description here on the YouTube. You'll find the link to the full worksheet. You'll also find the link to the memorandum. From there, you can work from the memorandum. And if you're stuck, as I said, you can then look at the videos. Again, Cuban function trap detector. We must be sure we know what to look out before we start solving. So in this problem, the trigger word here, it's actually factorized completely, right? So straight away we want you to find all the intercepts or all the roots, right? And once the factor is known, we're going to find quadratic and factorize the quadratic if possible, right? Make sure you spot the hidden clues, right? So given f of x equal 8x cubed minus 14x squared minus 25x plus 42. 7.1, factorize fx completely. Right, so straight away for 4 marks. Right, now we're first going to test linear factors. So when I say linear factors, we always use the constant term 42. We're going to test the factors that of 42 in the equation to see which one gives us 0. So when I say linear, it's plus or minus the value. So factors of 42, 1 goes in 42, 2 goes in 42, 3, 6, 7, 14, 21, and 42. So I'm going to test the positive and negatives from there. But yeah, in short here, if I take positive 2 and I substitute it in, it comes 8, 2 cubed minus 14 times 2 squared. Minus 25 times 2 plus 42, 1 mark for substituting, second mark for getting 0. So 2 cubed 8 times 8 is 64, 2 squared is 4 times negative 14 gives me negative 56, 2 times negative 25 gives me negative 50 and 42. So negative 56, that gives me 106, 42 plus 64 gives me 106. That is 0, so therefore x minus 2 is a factor. Now we have to factorize completely. So we know x minus 2 is a factor. Right, so x times what value would give me 8x cubed. So x times 8x squared would give me 8x cubed. To get to 42, negative 2 times negative 21. Gives me positive 42, negative times negative, positive 21 times 2, 42. Now I need to get to minus 14x squared. So negative 2 times 8x squared gives me negative 16x squared. So therefore I need to take 2 away from negative 16 to get to negative 14. So x times 2x gives me 2x squared. So 2x squared minus 16x squared gives me minus 14x. So 1 mark for getting 8x squared plus 2x minus 21. If we factorize 8x squared is 4x times 2x gives me 8x. Negative 21, 7 times negative 3. That is because 7 times 2 gives me 14 and minus 3 times 4 gives me minus 12. So 14 minus 12 then gives me 2x. So again, 1 mark for substitution. 1 for understanding that x minus 2 is a factor or showing it's equal to 0. Another mark for getting the quadratic there, and if you get stuck you can use the reverse L method which I've shown you in the 2 previous videos. And then the last mark for all the factors, right? Let's look at number 8. Number 8, given f of x equal x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. Factorize fx completely. So to factorize completely, I first have to find a factor that makes it 0. And I use that factor to find the quadratic equation. Then I'm going to see if I can factorize the quadratic equation. So always use the linear factors of the last constant value given. So in this case, minus 2 has the factors 1 and 2. So I use plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. If I test 1, so you're going to use your calculator to test it. The one that makes it 0 is the one you will write down. So if I use 1, it's 1 cubed minus 3 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 minus 2. 1 cubed is 1. 1 squared is 1 times negative 3, stays negative 3. 4 times 1 gives me 4 minus 2. 4 minus 3 gives me 1. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. Minus 2 gives me 0. Very important that we remember we change the sign. So x minus 1 is a factor. I'm going to use this factor to find the quadratic. So from there, I know x minus 1 is a factor of this equation. So x times what would give me x cubed? X times x squared gives me x cubed. Negative 1 times positive 2 would give me negative 2. And from there, I have minus 1x squared. I need to get to minus 3x squared. So minus 1x squared, x times minus 2x gives me minus 2x squared. So minus 2x squared minus 1x squared gives me minus 3x squared. Right, and from there, this equation as it is, we cannot factorize it further. So therefore, that equation stays as it is. So 1 mark for substitution, 1 for knowing x minus 1 is a factor, 1 for getting the quadratic equation, and 1 for understanding that is the final answer. Alright, so that concludes your worksheet. I hope the video solutions made it helpful, and if you don't need the video solutions, I hope the worksheet with its solutions make it helpful. God bless. Continue practicing. I wish you nothing but the best. Bye.